if you can see the queen, because we normally need help. So in the middle we've got a load of eggs and some really tiny larvae, and then going out from the middle there's capped brood, so that's turning into a pupa and pupating into an adult bee. And then as you go out a little bit more, there's some grubs, some larvae on the outer ring here, and there's some pollen here, and then there's nectar that's being turned into honey all here. And then this one's got pollen on its pollen baskets.
Oh yeah. Oh, wow, look at that.
That's how it carries the pollen back to the hive. Let's see whether I can see the queen. Get my gloves dry. So the queen should be marked green in this hive, hopefully, if they haven't rubbed it off. So these are all female worker bees.
Can't see her. So how does the bee, apart from being marked with green paint, how is she different from the other bees?
Right, so the queen bee will have a longer abdomen, that's the last section, so this area here that's striped will be a lot longer, and she actually walks a little bit differently, so sometimes you can spot her from the way she's walking, but she doesn't appear to be on that frame.
No, I can't see her.
Sometimes they're very elusive and you don't see them. So this is a new bee that's just hatched out, so it's really fluffy. It's hatched out fairly recently, whereas these ones
see the difference.
Were a bit older.
Yep.
Okay, we'll just. So what we're doing at this time of year is just checking whether they're doing any swarm preparations. So we just check the hive to see whether there's any queen cups, and they look like little acorn cups.
So can you explain what happens when they swarm, or why they swarm?
So they swarm, it's a natural way of them making a new colony, so it's a way of them increasing their number, and they'll do that when the hive gets really congested. So if they were on all of these frames here and they had the roof on and there was no more room in there, now you can create room by putting your super box on, a smaller box to collect honey in, or you can do some manipulations on them so that they think that they've swarmed. But basically when they swarm, it's just a way of them making a new colony. So what will happen is they'll make a queen cup which looks like a little acorn. Ooh, there's a queen.
There's a queen.
Can you spot her?
Can you see her? So that paint that's on her back, doesn't harm them, does it?
No, no.
And does it the colours, do they make a difference? So you've used green on there.
They do normally, but I tend to use white and yellow because they're really easy to see. Some of the greens are very dark and the blues and the reds are very dark and they're quite hard to see, but generally we paint them, and it's to do with what year the queen was born.
Right.
So
yeah.
It goes with an acronym which is will you raise good bees. So white is this year.
Yep.
So will you raise good bees? So it goes 1 to 5.
So white, yellow, red, green, blue.
Yeah.
Ah.
So you see how long her abdomen is there?
And she's
It's
not
a lot longer.
doesn't seem as stripy, does she? Her abdomen.
No, they do differ though, in different colours and different stripes.
Yeah.
I just got a bee buzzing in my ear, so I'm just smoking.
Okay.
Not very happy. Probably a guard bee. So they make a queen cup, which is just like a little acorn cup, sometimes around this area in the frame, really sneakily hidden. And then extend it as the grub grows, and then just before they cap it, the old queen will take half the workers with her and swarm off and find a new home and leave the house and half the attendants for a daughter, which is really nice.
Oh, that is nice. Sorry about that noise, we've got some builders next door. So how many, you only said she takes half of them, how many is that? How many would be in a swarm?
Maybe 15 to 30,000 bees.
Wow, that's a lot of bees. And then the same number will then stay in the hive?
Yeah.
Wow. Fantastic. So it's the old queen that leaves, not the new queen. Okay.
Yeah, the old.
And she'll lay more than one, have more than one queen cell, won't she?
Yeah, there's something called a supersedure where they're just replacing the queen that they've got.
Okay.
Where they'll only do a couple of cells, and then the queen will run round. The queen that hatches out first will run round and kill all the others, so she's the only one in the colony.
And she has a straight sting, doesn't she, the queen?
Yeah, so when she uses her sting, she can repeatedly use it, whereas a worker's sting has got barbs on, so it sticks into mammal skin. It's fine to sting other insects, it can repeatedly sting insects, but it'll stick into mammal skin. So humans and bears, badgers, the sting will stay in.
Right. And I'm just looking at this one that's got a lot of pollen on its legs.
Yeah.
See, in the pollen baskets.
So it's just scraping the pollen off there. Did you see it moving its legs to try and...
Yeah.
So it'll deposit those into a cell itself.
Right.
Whereas the nectar that they collected, they'll pass it on to another worker bee. And the worker bee will pop it into the cells.
Ah, okay. Amazing, they all look very busy.
So it doesn't look like we've got any queen cells yet.
Is it a little bit early in the year, do you think?
It will be starting, I think, in the next week or so.
Okay.
Maybe next week or the week after, I would think.
Brilliant.
I've got another hive that have got some queen cups in. They're just practicing making the cups. They haven't laid an egg in it yet.
Ah, okay.
And this is the end of the hive where they store all the honey and the nectar. And they haven't stored honey yet because it's not capped, but there's nectar and there's pollen. And there's all different colours of pollen, so...
I can see the nectar is quite sticky, isn't it? Quite sort of shiny. Don't know if it can be seen very well through the video, but yeah. And I can see, if people can see the yellow pollen. Yellow pollen. Are there any other colours?
There's red here, and there's some red up here as well, which is
so why is it some of it yellow and some of it red?
So it's from different plants, so different plants have different coloured pollen. So poppies have got black pollen.
Sorry, I've got a bee in my face.
And horse chestnut's got that beautiful red colour.
Yep.
So it's conker
I've got a
trees.
bee right in my face, so I can't actually. I'm trying to move it out of the way.
I'll give a bit of smoke. Hang on a sec.
Right, so someone's got the smoker here.
Looks like it's fine.
So why do you smoke them?
Right, so it just gives them something else to think about, because bees actually communicate through smell. So by just putting a little bit of smoke out, not too much, it makes them think that there's a forest fire, because they used to be tree dwelling insects. And it just gives them something else to think about instead of thinking about the smell of me or what I'm doing going through the hive. This here is a queen cup.
Ah, yeah, I can see
So it
it's much
starts off
bigger.
like a little acorn.
Yep.
So we'll just have a look, see if there's anything in there.
I can zoom in rather than putting my hand right in front of where all the bees. Oh, that's better.
So it's a
Oh, there
little
is
bit
something in
polished in there.
Is there something in
Is
there?
it
Or?
just reflecting light
Ah,
possibly?
lovely.
Yeah, so they've polished it, so they're expecting to put an egg in there. They'll give it a layer of propolis, which is bee glue, and it's an antiseptic. So it will. I'll just squash that so they have to start again.
Okay.
Just so that I know next time I go in that that's a fresh egg, a fresh queen cup, and then I've got so many days before I need to act and stop them from swarming.
Okay. What can people do if they find they have a swarm in their garden?
Oh, right, yeah. So if you see or hear a swarm of bees, they're quite loud and sound a bit like, almost like a motorbike going past you sometimes. If you see them gather, they'll normally make a rugby ball shaped cluster,
Yep.
and those will be honeybees if they do that. And if you see that, then you can go onto the BBKA website, which is the British Beekeepers Association, and you can look through and check that they are honeybees. There's lots of IDs how to tell wasps from bees and other types of bee that look very similar to honeybees. The masonry and minor bees look similar. And then you can pop your postcode in and find your nearest swarm collector,
Right.
and then they'll come out and see you, and look, there's a phone number on there and you can get hold of them and they'll come out to see you and take your bees away.
Okay. And what will they do with them?
Well, if they're a member of an association like myself, they'll probably give them to new members, or because so some years there's quite a high bee mortality rate, so a few colonies might die out over the winter. People that have been keeping bees would like some more, so they put their name on that list as well.
Right.
So it's not just new beekeepers, but we tend to get our new beekeepers first
Yeah.
sorted out, and then
Yeah.
other people can have swarms as well.
And I've seen a video of the bees when they go in. They just walk in, don't they? If you put
Yeah.
sort of a ramp, because they always walk upwards.
Yeah, you can build a little ramp in front of them. They like to walk upwards generally. So you put a ramp in front of the beehive and they'll walk up through the entrance.
So there's the
Very
entrance, isn't it? That
gentle way
little
of
gap
them
there. Yep.
going back together.
Yeah.
So,
Brilliant.
move that.
Want to explain what that is on the top there?
So over winter, these bees didn't make an incredible amount of honey for over winter, so I fed them. So in here was a white candy, but they've scoffed it all. It looks a lot like roll-out icing that you put on your Christmas cake. And they've
some over
started
there,
to
isn't there?
build comb here, and this is a pollen substitute. So it's got the candy in as well, so it's like roll-out icing but with pollen in. So it's just to give them a bit of a helping hand through the winter, because they hadn't built up very much stores for themselves.
Yeah. And there's a hole in the top of this lid.
Yeah, so if I just pick up this board, you can see underneath.
Yeah, so they can pop up
Yeah.
into the top. And I'll just show you over here, because this is one that was from another hive. They haven't eaten quite so much of it, hardly any. But this is what it looks like. So there we go.
So because I'm putting a super on this one, I need to put my queen excluder on, which just stops the queen from going up into the supers, because we don't want them to put eggs in the honey harvest.
Okay, so she can't get through these gaps. The
Yeah,
gaps are too small for the queen.
Body's a bit wider than
Yeah.
that.
So you're putting an extra box on so that they can make their honey in there. But obviously you don't want lots of bee legs and things in your, and larvae in your
No,
honey,
it's
do you?
extra protein. Some people
Yeah,
think
yum
it's
yum.
a problem.
just show you a few of the other hives. So there's one. That's the one we just looked in. Another one over here. Another one over here. Very busy bees going in and out. So you have guard bees at the entrance that will help to, they will keep out any intruders as far as possible. Brilliant. Okay. Is there anything else you would like to say, Sam? Oh, there's a bee on my phone now. Excuse me. Oh, it's on my hand.
Pop down in August and September and you can buy a jar of Martineau
Yes,
Gardens
Martineau
honey.
Gardens honey. Brilliant. Okay, thank you very much, Sam. And I'm going to go now because there's a bee flying around my phone and I need to move it away. So thank you for watching and thank you, Sam.